can only have one default at a time, okay? So let's change the scenario a bit. I'm still an agent, and I work equally in Loudoun, in Fairfax, and in Prince William County. So a third of the time I'm in Loudoun, a third of the time I'm in Fairfax, a third of the time I'm in Prince William. I don't want to save a default as Loudoun because 2/3 of the time I'll have to change it. So what you could do instead is, instead of using a default here, you could actually use a shortcut with the speed bar and make those your defaults. You can have as many of those as you want to. So let me give you an example. We're going to run this search. Loudoun active for sale. It's a very general search. We're going to get a lot of listings, and that's fine. Yes?
How come that's not showing up in the speed bar now?
It won't yet until you run it.
Ah,
Yeah, and now it does show up. Okay, so at this point, okay, it's just giving me a really general search, right? So I've got a lot of listings. Down at the bottom, there's this blue button called Save As, which is where you all recognize is where you'd go to do a save search, new auto email, and so on. There is also an option that says New Speed Bar Shortcut. So you're going to click on it. And this will basically, in a sense, save a default. It's just called a shortcut because it's using a different tool in Matrix. The Speed Bar Shortcuts. A couple of things you need to know about the shortcut name. When you're assigning a name to this shortcut, it always has to be preceded with a /. It's already there in that field, so don't delete it out, okay? And you can just type in whatever you want to call it. Now, it's not case sensitive, so even if you saved it with a capital L, when you go to type in the name, it doesn't have to be a capital. So I'm going to go in and type in Loudoun, okay? That's it. I mean, it can be as simple as Loudoun. You can do Loudoun County, whatever you want there. And then you also have the option of adding in a description if you wish. That's completely up to you. And there's the criteria that displays there. Down at the very bottom, you see existing shortcuts. So if you had added some previously, they'll all be listed and saved there. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And once it's successfully saved, it just created a shortcut, the upper right-hand corner, called /Loudoun. Okay? And then what I can do is hit this revise button, change my county to Fairfax, run my search, do a different shortcut, and call it Fairfax. So I will continue to do this. Now you can also do this per city. You can also do this per zip code or whatever, okay? Whatever you guys do. If you primarily work in Loudoun, but you like to have different subdivisions stored, you can do it that way.
Could you set up a specific search for a client?
You could, but I don't recommend doing the shortcut per client because you can get a lot of them. Because if you're working with 30 different clients and you have shortcuts for each of them, it's really not the same, it's not meant to be the same function as a save search. You could technically do it, there's nothing to stop you from doing that.
You can delete shortcuts?
Yes.
How many can you bring us?
Unlimited. You can have as many as you want. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this. I'll show you why you might want to need it, so I'll put it into a scenario for you. Okay, so now I just created one for Loudoun, I just created one for Fairfax, okay? So, let's pretend again, I'm busy, doing other things, and then my phone rings, and someone says, oh, hi, I'm interested in looking in Fairfax. Can you help me find whatever it is? And they give you the criteria, okay? Again, instead of going into search, general, which you could still do, you could actually log right into Matrix, and because the speed bar sits on the top of each Matrix tab, you don't even have to go into search. You can go right into that speed bar from the home page, and you already have Fairfax active for sale as one of your shortcuts saved. So instead of typing that criteria in, those 3 criteria, you can actually just do /Fairfax, okay? And now I'm ready to say detached, townhouse, whatever it is. So let's do townhouse again. And then we're going to look for 400 to 500, and whatever else they told me. Okay, so I'm just going to plug in a few criteria here. So notice active for sale Fairfax didn't need to be put in there because it actually sits underneath that shortcut name. Now when I run my search, it's just going to take me to all of that criteria. Okay? So it's a quick way for you to get there. It's a shortcut to get to a certain search default. It's the same concept as having a search default on your main general search screen, but whereas there you can only have one search default at a time, here you can have as many defaults or shortcuts that you want to.
Once you save a shortcut, like you did for Fairfax, and you only established 3 things, that was the active Fairfax, I can't remember, Can you add and change the criteria?
You certainly can. At any time you can do that. So let's do that now. All of your shortcuts are stored for you. Okay? If you go into My Matrix and then you click on Settings, you'll see a section here called Shortcuts. Speedbar shortcuts. And I've got 6 already stored. So if I click on it, it's going to show me the 6 that I have. I can edit any one of these that I wish. I can also delete any one of them that I wish. If I'd like to run any of them, then I must type it into the speed bar up here. Okay? To edit, let's say I wanted to edit this one, and I'm going to click on the actual name. And I'm going to change a couple of things. I'm actually going to make this a condo search. So I'm going to add condo to my criteria. I'm going to save this, and I'm going to change the name. Instead of calling it Fairfax County, I'm just going to call it Fairfax, oh, let me show you something else. Fairfax Condos, okay? Now I've added in a space. You can't have any spaces, punctuations, special characters. If you go to save this, it actually alerts you and it tells you that. A shortcut name may not include spaces, symbols, or punctuations, okay? And you're probably wondering, well, why is that? And that's because, remember, each time you go in to add in a criteria in the speed bar, you separate each criteria with a space. It gets confused, because condos is actually, you could change fee simple to condo, whatever it is, actually one of the fields that you could use. And it may look at that as a field, so it's kind of not jiving, okay? So I'm going to take out my space, and then if I save this, it should be fine. So now I've just edited this specific search to just be all of the actives in Fairfax County for sale that are condos. You could do that again with cities. You know, Reston has a lot of condos, things like that, okay? All right. Is everybody clear with the shortcuts? I'm going to add on one more piece here, as if you didn't have enough to think about. Matrix Mobile. How many of y'all use Matrix Mobile on your phone? Okay. Matrix Mobile is a really nice tool to have available. Most of you I know have iPhones, which is cool because you can actually go to the Matrix site. The only thing about that is your screen is only so big, and you have to do all this scrolling if you go onto the Matrix site. If you use a different URL that I will give you, it's Matrix Mobile, M-O-B-I-L-E, .mris.com. So don't put the W's in there. It's just matrixmobile.mris.com. Type that into your phone, into the browser, and then once you get this screen, you can actually save it as a bookmark or as a favorites, and then you can quickly access it at a later time. So Matrix Mobile is a lighter version of Matrix. You can still do a majority of what you normally do in Matrix. It's just less scrolling and quicker downloading to your phone. So here we go. We have all of your searches, which I'll show you. We also have your speed bar. Okay? Your shortcuts will translate over to the Matrix Mobile speed bar as well. So if you're on the road and someone calls you and they wanted this, this, and this, you could actually type in your shortcut as part of the search criteria and then continue to add on, and it'll still work. In addition, let's say you're out showing homes, and you have 3 houses on the list and you're going to show them in this one neighborhood. And just as you're entering the neighborhood, the guy's putting a sign out in front of this other house, and the person says, "Oh, how much is that one?" Well, it wasn't on the list when you pulled it up initially, so what you could do is pull the car over, go right into Matrix Mobile. You can go into the residential and then type in the address of that property, and you can pull it up that way. It's a quick way for you to access the property while you're on the road. So I'll show you with a...
So you don't have to specify residential or the state if you're using the speed bar?
Right. It's actually whatever shortcut you have in there, but yeah, if you're using the speed bar from scratch and you're just typing in the criteria, you shouldn't need to because it automatically ties into residential.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, to residential. Most of the searches are going to be residential.
Uh-huh.
We don't get a whole lot with commercial.
Uh-huh.
So I'm going to pull up anything that's active in Broadlands. And by the way, you also have an MLS number slot. So if someone called you and said, "Can you give me more about this property?" and they give you the MLS number, you can just plug that in. So here I've pulled up 28 active listings in Broadlands, and whichever one I'd like to see, I'm just going to click on it. They're all hyperlinked on your phone, and it gives you the details. So just enough. I understand it's not going to give you everything, but again, remember, you're looking at this on a phone, so it's not meant to give you all of this stuff. You can call the person. Most of your smartphones, you can scroll down to the number, click on it, it dials out for you. You can email the agent. You have all the showing instructions there, the remarks, the driving directions. You can even pull in the photos. Okay, and this works even with the Blackberry. I know the Blackberry is the least smart of the smartphones, but you know, I have a Blackberry and that's all they give me, and it works fine on a Blackberry, even with that little teeny tiny screen. Okay, so that's available for you. We are working on a true mobile app, but that's not coming out until much later in the year. So until then, I've been promoting Matrix Mobile. Okay, all right. So that was a little sidetrack there. So we're going to go back to, make sure I save this, make sure everything is successful. I'm going to go back to Matrix here, and we'll continue on. Throws up on me here. Okay, anyhow. Oh, that's what happened. Okay, lock me out. Let's just log back in here.
I've noticed if you accidentally close Matrix
Mhm.
and then have to go to your browser and reopen it, if you do it quickly, you don't have to always log in again.
That's true, that's true. Okay. Yeah, I know. I know. Sometimes if I open just a new tab and I go to like just type in the Matrix URL, it automatically keeps me logged in, which is cool. Okay, so the other thing I'd like to show you is, remember earlier in Keystone I showed you where you had to add the category for each of the photos? So now I'm going to show you in display, you have a new display called a photo comparison. So it's right there in the display drop-down. I'm going to show you how this actually works. Let's check off a few of these pages. I know a lot of these are actually new homes, which I would like to kind of not have too many new homes. But let's say we keep these, and we're going to look at these 50 properties that I've selected. If you redisplay this view to a photo comparison, it's going to show you the top 5 categories in an album, the ones that tend to have a photo associated with it. So these would be the exterior, the kitchen, the master bedroom, the living room, and then the primary photo. A lot of times the primary photo is the same as the exterior, but in some cases they're not. So I'm going to quickly scroll down this list to show you. So here, it's using the categories that you've added in Media Connect. And by the way, if you've added multiple photos as a kitchen or something like that, it just takes the first photo that's designated as a kitchen. Okay? So you may want to sort it in that way, keeping in mind that it will show up this way. And then what you can do is as you scroll through each of the listings that you have on your screen, it will show you these interior photos for those listings. It's a quick way to kind of, get an idea of what they look like without going into each album individually or without each going to the full listing for each of them. Your client also has this view available in their email. So when you go in and email these listings out to them, and they select the ones they'd like to see, go ahead and check that. We're going to click email. Preview this. Okay. So this is the client's view. Now, sometimes they'll just get this as the primary view. They can always change the display. Whichever display they use last, it actually remembers it, so the next time they go in to view those listings, it automatically brings it up in that display. And they also have that photo comparison available. So if your client might not be a very tech-savvy person, they might not even be aware that the displays are there, it might be a good time to meet with them, to show them, or you can just give them a quick call and say, hey, I just want to let you know, this is new. A lot of people like that because, interior photos are really big. Photos are big in general. And instead of having to click on each one of these camera icons to see the photos, they can quickly just go down the list and scroll through and at least see those the 3 categories there. Kitchen, master bedroom, and living room, which tends to be the ones of interest anyways.
So we can't control at all what view they see when they open the link, is that right?
Correct. Yeah, they can control what view they want to see. Okay. Any questions about that? Anything so far? Okay, let me move on. I've also got multiple shopping carts to show you. So let me return back to my one-liner. It's a little easier for me to work with there. So let's say I'm in the middle of working with client A, and I ran this list, and I see, oh, you know what, this one property, J Street, would really, so-and-so would really like this property. Even though it's not really in their criteria, I think we should still go see it. So you're working with client A, you'd like to save this property for client B, but you don't want to lose your work from client A. So what you could do is just highlight the property and drop it into client B's shopping cart. Now every one of your contacts that you add into Matrix automatically gets their own cart assigned. You don't have to do anything other than to add them in to contacts. And then you would drop it into that folder, click add to cart. It's going to drop a copy of that listing right into that person's cart. Now when you're finished working with client A and you've emailed and you're done with that, and now you're ready to work with client B, you don't have to go into My Matrix, contacts, and go through it that way, which you could. You could actually just go directly into the home page, and you have a widget called My Carts. All of the carts that have a listing in there will show up. You simply click on the person's name, the listing will show up. Then you can go ahead and email or print or whatever it is that you normally need to do. Now the nice thing about this cart view is it also gives you this view as the customer. So it drops in these extra 3 yellow columns for you. There's a column where you can see if it had been emailed before. So if you were, let's say in a sense, watching this listing for the person, you could actually have this listing sitting in their cart for months. Okay, it's just going to sit there. It doesn't go anywhere. Once you've added it, you've added it. And then over time, it may have gone out in some random auto email to that person. Okay, and so if that was the case, you can check on it and actually tell you that you emailed it out on this day. In addition, it will also tell you if they actually opened it to look at the listing, so last viewed. And then the last column will show you how many times that they viewed that property. And once you're finished working with this, you emailed it or you printed it, or you're done with it, you can actually remove it from the cart, and that just leaves the cart empty for the next time you need to store other listings. Okay? You can also use the cart as a CMA aid. So if you're in the process of doing a CMA and you've collected your listings and the phone rings, you got to dash out for an appointment or whatever it is, you don't want to lose those comps that you so meticulously selected. So you can actually just throw it into a cart. You can throw it into either your own cart if you have yourself set up as a contact, or you can throw it into the main residential cart and then store it for later. When you get back and you're ready to continue with the CMA, open the cart, select the listings, click CMA, and then just continue on. Okay?
That's nice.
Yeah, it's a really nice tool. It's a good